How do you know if a multifamily deal is actually a good investment or just a pretty pitch deck with dangerous assumptions? In this video, I'll show you the exact way that we analyze a deal before risking a single dollar. A beautiful property, a strong market, and a high projected return do not automatically make it a good investment. So in this video, I'll show you the 6 steps that we use to analyze a multifamily deal so that you can spot weak assumptions, understand the real risk, and avoid investing blindly. No finance degree is required, just a clear, repeatable process that tells you with confidence whether a deal deserves your capital or deserves to be passed on. And by the end of the video, you're going to be able to look at any multifamily deal and know precisely what questions to ask, what numbers to stress test, and what red flags to walk away from. So let's get into the video, and be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. We upload 3 videos a week and you won't want to miss what we have coming next. If you've ever looked at a multifamily real estate deal, maybe someone sent you an offering memorandum or a sponsor pitched you on a syndication, and you stared at all those numbers and thought, I have no idea if this is actually a good deal or a bad deal. This video is actually going to fix that. This is for you if you're a busy professional, a doctor, an engineer, an attorney, a business owner who wants to invest in real estate passively, but you also don't want to just hand over your hard-earned capital without understanding what you're actually looking at. You don't need to be a full-time underwriter. You don't need to build a complex financial models from scratch. But you do need to understand the core metrics well enough, at least, to evaluate what a sponsor is showing you and to know when the numbers don't add up. Now, let me address 2 myths right up front. Myth number 1. The projected returns on the offering memorandum are the real returns. No, they are not. They are projections built on assumptions. Your job as an investor is to stress test those assumptions, not just accept them blindly. Myth number 2, a high projected return means a better deal. And that's backwards. A deal projecting a 25% IRR with aggressive assumptions is far riskier than a deal projecting 14% with conservative, defensible numbers. The quality of the assumptions matter more than the headline number. And here's the core reframe. Multifamily analysis is not about finding the deal with the highest projected return. It's about finding the deal where the downside is well protected, the assumptions are honest, and the operator has a proven track record of executing. Returns follow execution, no substitute. Execution follows discipline. And discipline starts with a rigorous step-by-step analytical process. Now, let me walk you through ours. So step 1, start with the market, not the property. Before you even look at a single number on the deal itself, you need to understand the market that it sits in. A great property in a weak market is still a weak investment. We look at 3 things: population and job growth trends, supply and demand dynamics, and rent growth trajectory. In 2026, according to CBRE's U.S. real estate market outlook, markets with supply overhangs, particularly parts of the Sun Belt and mountain regions, are still working through elevated vacancy from the new construction wave that started back in 2023 and 2024. Meanwhile, Midwestern markets and select gateway cities are maintaining healthier fundamentals with tighter vacancy rates. CBRE projects national multifamily vacancy to stabilize in 2026, with rent growth remaining modest, roughly 1% to 2% nationally, before recovery more meaningfully in 2027 and beyond. So step 1 is simple. Make sure that the market the deal is in has the supply-demand dynamics to support the rent growth assumptions in the underwriting. Step 2, calculate the net operating income. This is the foundation of everything. Net operating income, or NOI, is the property's total income minus all operating expenses, not including debt service, not including depreciation, just income minus expenses. And here's how to get there. Start with the gross potential rent. That's what the property would generate if every unit were rented at full market rate, 100% of the time. So then subtract a vacancy allowance. In 2026, experienced underwriters on bigger pockets are using about 8% or higher for small to mid-sized multifamily, not the 3 or 5% you often see in the offering memo. Then subtract operating expenses. property management, insurance, taxes, maintenance, and reserves. A reliable rule of thumb is that expenses run between 40 and 55% of gross income, depending on the asset class and whether utilities are included. Older buildings and C-class assets trend towards 50 to 55%. Newer, well-maintained properties, 40 to 45%. What's left after all of that is your NOI, and NOI is the number that drives everything else. Step 3, apply the cap rate to determine if the price makes sense. The cap rate, or capitalization rate, is simply the NOI divided by the purchase price. It tells you the unlevered yield of the property. So think of it like the property's interest rate on your investment before financing. In 2026, Class A multifamily in primary markets is trading at cap rates between 4.5 and 6%. Class B, roughly 5.5 and 7%. And according to CBRE, buyers are underwriting exit cap rates at roughly 25 to 50 basis points above their going-in cap rate over a 5-year hold. That's the conservative approach, assuming you'll sell into a slightly softer market than you bought into. And here's a real example. You're looking at a 50-unit apartment complex priced at $6 million. The trailing NOI, meaning last year's actual income minus expenses, is $360,000. That's a 6% cap rate. Is that reasonable? In a secondary Midwest market in 2026? Yeah. That's within the expected range. In a Class A Sunbelt market, that might be slightly aggressive. Context matters. Step 4, stress test the rent growth assumptions. This is where most passive investors get burned. A sponsor projects 4 or 5% annual rent growth. It sounds reasonable, but according to CBRE's 2026 data, national rates are 1 to 2% this year. Buyers in 2026 who are being disciplined are underwriting rent growth at 3 to 3.5% over a 5-year hold, and only after supply normalizes in their specific market. So if a deal only works at 5% annual rent growth, that's not a deal, that's a hope. A well underwritten deal should still be, generate acceptable returns at 2% rent growth. That's your stress test. Run those numbers at the bear case and see if the deal survives. Step 5, evaluate the debt structure and cash flow coverage. Look at the loan terms. What's the interest rate? Is it fixed or floating? When does it mature? Floating rate debt was the silent killer of many syndications in 2023 and 2024. In 2026, agency lenders Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac require a minimum debt service coverage ratio of 1.2 times X. That means for every dollar of debt payment, the property needs to generate at least $1.25 in NOI. If a deal is underwritten at 1.1, there's almost no cushion. So look for a DSCR of 1.25 or higher and conservative NOI estimates, not the sponsor's optimistic NOIs, yours. And step 6, evaluate the return metrics, IRR, cash on cash, equity multiples. These are the numbers that tell you how the deal performs for you as an investor over the full hold period. Cash on cash return is your annual pre-tax cash flow divided by your equity invested. In 2026, well-performing stabilized multifamily deals should generate 4 to 8% cash on cash in year 1. Value add deals may start at 0 or 3% while renovations are underway, with improvement over the entire hold period. And the equity multiple tells you how many times your money comes back. So a 1.7 times equity multiple means that for $100,000 invested, you should get $170,000 total over the hold period. The IRR accounts for the timing of the cash flows. Most institutional buyers target 12 to 18% levered IRR on value add deals and 8 to 12% on stabilized deals. If a deal is projecting 22% on stabilized low risk property, something doesn't add up. Either the assumptions are too aggressive or the risk is being understated. Use these benchmarks as a reality check. Now, let me address the concerns I know you're sitting with. This seems like a lot of work. Can I just trust the sponsor's numbers? Well, yeah, you can if you've done the work to verify the sponsor's track record first. The best passive investors don't try to outmodel the sponsor. They verify that the sponsor has a history of conservative underwriting, closed and exited deals, and transparent communication when things don't go as planned. The analysis framework that I just walked you through is not about building your own model from scratch. It's about knowing which questions to ask so that you can evaluate whether the sponsor's model is trustworthy. What if the market softens after I invest? This is exactly why you stress test the assumptions before you invest. A deal underwritten at 3% rent growth with an 8% vacancy assumption and a 1.3 times DSCR has room to absorb a market correction. A deal underwritten at 5% rent growth with 3% vacancy assumptions and a 1.1 times DSCR does not. Conservative underwriting is your insurance policy against a market that becomes volatile. Is multifamily even worth investing in 2026? And the data says yes, if you're selective. According to CBRE's 2026 capital markets outlook, cap rate spreads are stabilizing, core capital is returning to the market, and investors who can identify assets priced at a discount to replacement costs are finding compelling entry points. JLL projects overall commercial real estate transaction volumes to increase 16% in 2026 to $562 billion annually. Multifamily remains the most sought after asset class. The window is not wide open, but it is open for disciplined investors who know how to analyze what they're looking at. Now, let me paint you a picture of what consistent application of this framework looks like. So imagine it's 5 years from now. You've evaluated 30 deals using this exact process. You passed on 25 of them because the assumptions did not hold up under your scrutiny. You invested in 5 deals that met your criteria: conservative underwriting, experienced operators, strong market fundamentals. Those 5 deals have returned an average equity multiple of about 1.7 times. On an investment of $250,000 across those 5 deals, you've now received back $425,000. That's $175,000 in profit, completely passive. And here's the compounding truth. Every deal you pass on makes you a better analyst. Every deal you invest in gives you real data to calibrate your future decisions. The framework just compounds, just like the returns do. If this framework resonated with you and you're just starting to feel like you finally have a clear lens for evaluating real estate deals, I want to make sure that you have everything you need to go deeper and take that next step with more confidence. Go to cardiarei.com. When you get there, you can download 2 free ebooks right away, one about taxes, one about syndications. They're written specifically for busy professionals who are serious about passive real estate investing and want a clear, practical starting point without the overwhelming anxiety. You also get immediate access to a free 9-part passive investing masterclass that I created and designed. It's inside the training. I'm going to walk you through the exact framework that many investors use to build long-term passive income through real estate. From things like deal evaluation and sponsor vetting to understanding tax strategy to building a portfolio that fits your specific financial situation. Everything you just learned in this video about analyzing a multifamily deal is one critical piece of that bigger blueprint. And the passive investing action guide is where the full picture comes together in a structured step-by-step format you can actually act on. It's completely free. There's no no strings attached. This training was built specifically for busy professionals, people who want conservative, long-term passive income without quitting their jobs or managing tenants or becoming full-time landlords. If you're serious about building real, lasting passive income, then just head over and download those free resources. And remember, confidence comes from actually understanding what you're looking at. So grab those and get started today. And if you want to go deeper on how to evaluate a real, like a real sponsor, a real estate deal, including the exact questions to ask and the red flags to watch out for, I have a full breakdown in our next video. I'll see you there.